What is up, Broncos country? Welcome to another edition of Bourbon, Broncos, and No BS. My name's Kevin. We got Jared and Spotty here with us. We might even get a little appearance from David later on, but we will see. It's going to be exciting, guys. Believe it or not, the Broncos have secured a winning season for the first time since Trevor Siemian was the quarterback. I might bust out my Trevor Siemian jersey, but I won't. That's just, it's too weird.
You brought a Trevor Siemian jersey, man? Come on, man.
Oh, yeah. I was all in on him. I thought he was going to be the next, Broncos quarterback. I was ready for it, and I'm embarrassed to admit it. But
we've been drinking bourbon and watching the Broncos for a long time now, and I think that Kevin's just all in on anybody we get at this point.
No, I don't have a Bo Nix jersey. I will not get one until at least
all the ones. We'll get to that.
Let's talk about that later. You know what? I don't want to be. I keep jinxing it. Maybe this is the reason we keep going through them, because I keep jumping on the board too soon, and I'm just not going to do it. Hey guys, post your comments, post your questions. We want to hear from you guys about what you think of what's going on with the Broncos, the big win, comeback win over the Colts. I will say to Nick Bonito, first off, you are a lightning flash. We're going to talk about that play. Just a little tidbit. If you're playing football, to either Bonito or anyone else playing football, just so you know, it's okay to grab a handful of cashews, peanuts, walnuts, macadamians. There is a type of nut that you probably shouldn't grab on live TV, and that's okay, though. We learned.
I have it on good authority. I was about to say, I have it on good authority. He went up to Big Nuts Lutz and was like, that was for you. And then he made it anyway, so it doesn't matter. So I think it was just it was a big team effort.
I love it. Look, we are one win away from securing a playoff spot as well. So this is the best type of December football that we've been talking about since this show was founded 9 seasons ago. And this is just great, guys. So let's break it down with some initial thoughts. Jared, we'll start with you, man. First off, how you doing? And man, here we are, dude. Here we are.
Yeah, I'm doing good, and I think this we're probably going to go on a roller coaster for the first half of this episode as we talk about that last game, because I have lots of thoughts and not all of them are good. And unfortunately, I'll tell you right now before we get into it, I believe. I bonito leave, but I believe. All right. There's some issues with Bo right now. He's got some things going on with him. I think he's officially taken himself out of the Offensive Rookie of the Year running, unfortunately. But it is what it is. We got the win, and thanks to back-to-back, well, I guess it wasn't really a pick six, but back-to-back pick sixes from Nick Bonito. So I'm feeling good. I mean, we're in the driver's seat for the playoffs, and we have an early Thursday night game. It's going to be a quick game coming in. So
I love it. Spotty, I'm glad you came back from your honeymoon there. I figured you might just say, screw it, I'm staying out here. You guys aren't even cool enough to come home for. So I'm glad to have you back.
Well, man, quite honestly, I had to make sure to continue to have these conversations with you, get across the plane, if you will, not fumble these conversations with you guys. Definitely had to make sure to come back for all these playoffs games. So I appreciate you guys. I am super happy to be back. I have a question, though. How do we feel about the nickname Casa Bonito?
It has a ring to it.
I saw that, yeah. and on the live that he was like Casa Bonito. He was like bringing it to the house, right? That was kind of the.
Well, this isn't the first week that we've talked about it, and so it's quite unfortunate. I'm not positive how I feel about it, but of course it could also grow on me by the end of it. But he's definitely my favorite player right now, and 15 is also my favorite number. Just so everybody out there definitely knows that right now. I like how we've ruined probably a couple people's parlays with the fact that wasn't a pick six, and it is the second fumble return for a touchdown this year for the Broncos. Mr. Barton during the Saints game. So the fact that we've morphed over the last 2 weeks and saying the word playoff, it's got quite the ring to it right now, guys. I am super stoked. So just like Jared, I have a lot to say about this game. Definitely probably more bad than good. But yeah, I was talking to a Raiders fan today. Womp, womp, womp. And it's just exciting right now. Like, our games are exciting to watch. wet.
Yeah.
It certainly was on the edge of my seat in the first quarter.
Yeah. Well, and even in the second half started, I'm like pacing. I'm like cleaning the kitchen, trying to watch at the same time. Like I'm pacing. I can't sit down until we finally got that. We'll talk. We'll get into it in a little bit. But Kev, before we get started, I'm going to go ahead and pull this up. I love this response. If you guys have not watched the pressers for today, I love this response from Bo Nix as he gets asked. Our friend of the show, Mike Kliss, gets the last question of Bo Nix today, and I'm just going to bring it up and I'm going to say it, and then we'll talk about it. Ready? Let's do this. Kevin, go ahead and hit the play button.
You got 3 games. That's what, Mike. You got 3 games to win 1, but that's not the way you want to look at it, right?
Yeah, we got 3 games to win 3 and go into the playoffs and win a Super Bowl. Thank you.
What a response. What a response from Bo
Didn't
Nix
even
on
flinch.
that presser. Not
You
even
want my quick reaction? He did not even flinch. That is the team's mindset right now. And it's not, maybe, and that's the cool thing, guys. We hit 9 wins, but it wasn't like the last game of the season where we're like, are we going to be 9-8 or 8-9? And like, what is it going to be? We solidly hit 9 wins with three games to go. And this team is full steam ahead. It is remarkable to see that culture that's going on within the building right now.
Yeah, and then they also did an interview with Sutton today, and Sutton kind of said the same thing, very similar of like, hey, what are you guys thinking about? How you guys feeling about this game, about coming up? And he said kind of the same thing, was like, hey, we're not worried about getting 1. We're worried about the Chargers this Thursday. And then after that, we'll be worried about Cincinnati. And then after that, like we need to take it one game at a time, regardless of where we're at, 90% in there. It just means that the whole team is on the same page. And it's just really cool to see. It's probably the first time we've seen the whole team on the same page in a happy note in a long time.
Yeah. Really quickly, first off, David, welcome to the show, man. Glad you made it. It's just, as much as I'm not for Team Puffball, it's not the same without you, man. It really isn't.
No.
So glad to have you
here. And Team Puffball shows out so hard every single week here on the show. That without me, where would they be?
Quite the sailor you are, David.
Indeed.
Oh,
Spotty
yes.
knows. Spotty knows. So, fellas, I caught a little bit of the conversation as I was coming in. Disappointed in the results a little bit here. I am ready to flip that on its head. So I am excited to get into it with everybody. I am ready to talk positive, and I'm just so happy to be here with everybody.
Awesome. Well, let's start catching up on some of these comments first. And first one here, Bill, this is probably going to be a question that we can start in the first half and then circle back in the second half as we look forward to this next week's game. But as much as there's a lot of good things to talk about, but the first things first is what is going on with this running game, guys. And we talked about it during the bye week. Was Peyton going to make any moves? But now with McLaughlin potentially hurt as well, what do you see from this game last week from Estime, from Javonte, and where are you thinking the running game's at?
So originally I thought that David wasn't going to make it, so I have his prepared statement here, and I just want to make sure that I read this out loud.
By all means, please, let's see what this is going to turn into.
I'm very happy with the way our running back room is playing right now. Our offensive line is not getting them the blocks, but we're running the ball pretty well. There's no need to make any change. I love Javonte, hashtag number 33. And usually David doesn't use hashtags, so it really means a lot. So.
Wow. That listen,
Jared,
I want to make a follow-up statement to Broncos country right now. I don't remember making that statement. It's a decent possibility that that's completely made up. However, I can't swear that in a moment of just drunken afterglow, I didn't say some of those words. I do want to say, Jared, we've talked a lot about the effectiveness of Javonte Williams over the year and disagreed over the course of the year as well. But I will say this. Nobody looked particularly good against the Colts. We saw Estime get his chances and not really do any better. We saw McLaughlin get hurt with that quad injury. There was not a lot of success to be had either way. And I'm I don't really know what the answer is right now. Spotty, what do you got for me? Give me some X's and O's here.
It's hard. One of the biggest things that I'm seeing right now that's making things difficult, and I sent it into the group chat this week. The Broncos offensive line is ranked 5th when it comes to the run block win percentage, and that number speaks to a team that should be able to run the football. And Jared, I see you shaking your head on that, but still at the same time, you can't have a running back hesitate to the hole that they're supposed to get to. And I'm not pointing at one specific running back. It might be all of them. And then it becomes the play call, right? So at a certain point, we have to be able to run the football between the tackles, right? And I feel like Peyton is trying to go for the crazy run plays. So there were a lot of run plays on Sunday that were stuff where we try to swing out a wide right out onto that defense. And the Colts linebackers, I mean, they're not going to be somebody you're going to be like, oh man, but as a whole, they are probably the best overall core, at least top 3 core in the NFL. I mean, you got two guys that have got 100 yards or 100 tackles, so there's something special. But you can't go run those things out on them. You couldn't do that on that offense. If you can't first show that you can run the ball up the middle, you're not going to be able to do it on the outside. So, yes, I think it's a little bit of column A when it comes to potential offensive line, little column B when it comes to play calling. But I think the biggest issue for the Broncos right now is I don't think there's a running back that wants it.
So normally when you have a bad run game, and I'm going to get back to the comment about the 5th best blocking offensive line, I really want to see what those stats are based off of, because from the eye test, it's not happening. Like, we're not getting the blocks and we're not following through on the blocks on the run. And that's just watching the game, right? I'm not analytically diving into it. Now, that's what the analytics say. That's what they say. But there's usually 3 reasons why a run game doesn't work. 1, offensive line. 2, running backs, right? If the running backs are hesitating, which I really haven't seen. I haven't seen too much of the hesitation going into the hole. Usually they're hitting it really hard. And then they're just getting contact almost immediately within the first 2 yards, especially inside the tackles. And then the third one is the play calls. Are we being too predictable in our run plays? Are we lining up a certain way? And again, as much as I watch, are we lining up a certain way that they know that we have some sort of tell that it's a run play, and then they can crowd that line of scrimmage, right, and bring those people in? I don't know which one it is, but there's something going on. You're right. Maybe it is a bit of column A, B, and C. But I'm not blaming literally anybody, but I'm also not I think a lot of people are putting it on the people who get the stats, who are the running backs, right? Yeah. Javonte has only had 12 yards or whatever in the game, and Estime only had 14 and whatever. You want to blame the guys that have the stats, but there's a much bigger problem there on the run game than just our running backs aren't the guy. It's not like we can go out and get, who's the kid, the kid from Boise State, and all of a sudden we're going to have a 1,000-yard rusher. It just doesn't work like that. But I do think that there's something there, and I'm not saying that there's no blame on the running backs, but I'm also not saying let's go out there and just say Javonte is terrible, let's get rid of him, because I still think he's a really good running back, and you've seen the glimpses of him. I mean, he had a 100-yard game just a few weeks ago, and people are forgetting that. So.
Who had a 100-yard game?
Javonte. And 2 touchdowns, if I'm not mistaken.
Broncos haven't had a 100-yard rusher in about 3 years.
No, 100-yard total overall yards.
Oh, I was
to include receiving. Okay.
I was about to be like, because we sure as heck haven't had a 100-yard rusher in a very long time.
Let's see. Well, I mean, here's a question. It's to me, I kind of said this last night on the post-game show. What?
Nope,
Sorry.
No. I just where and you made the face too, Spotty. Where are you seeing that he's being hesitant to hit the hole? Like he's not dancing behind the line of scrimmage.
He is absolutely dancing behind the line of scrimmage. He is. And I'm telling you, it's a full speed thing. If you get that ball, a lot of the times it is full speed. That hole is only open for a fraction of time.
Sometimes, but also if is it a zone run or is it a man block? Because there's 2 completely different zone runs. You have to wait for the hole to open up. It's not doesn't open up immediately.
Really use zone run offense right now. That is not their forte. The Broncos aren't really using zone.
I don't know. I do not see him hesitating in the times that he shouldn't be hesitating. And maybe if you guys can find some film or find something for me, you let me know. But when I've been watching it, he's hitting the hole and it's just never there. Like he's getting the ball, he's in the hole and it's never there.
So let me ask you this. I mean, do you feel that he still has that same drive of just pushing through, getting the yards after contact that we saw from his first year? Because to me, it seems like whether that hole is there or not, first year Javonte was still able to get 3+4 yards, after he was getting hit. But anymore, it seems like when he gets hit, he's down right away. When's the last time we saw him drag anyone through the pile to get extra yardage? And maybe again, just I haven't done a lot of film, so I haven't looked in depth. But overall, I'm looking back and I'm like, I remember what he was doing in that first year, and he was carrying 2-3 guys on him, pushing forward, and we don't see that anymore.
For the record, I don't think it's just Javonte.
No, I agree.
But when we've seen the most success, it's McLaughlin, and he's the fastest person to the hole.
I mean, he's also the fastest running back, and he's also not hitting. His run yards are coming on the outside. It's not coming from in between tackles. And if we're saying we need to run between tackles, McLaughlin maybe is getting.
Not against the Browns. All of McLaughlin's yards were coming between the tackles against the Browns. And that was 70 yards.
Oh, that's not true. No, the big one that he got was, especially the one he got hurt on, the 15-yard run was on the outside. It was an outside zone.
It was supposed to go to the outside, but he bumped it back between the tackles.
No, he got hurt on the sideline. We'll talk about it later.
Well, look, here's the question. If McLaughlin is hurt and doesn't play, I mean, I didn't see what was today's injury status on him. Did you guys see?
He was limited.
Okay.
Well, so here's the question, and I'll kind of recap this from last night. People were asking why aren't we using Audric Estime more? And one idea that I heard driving home from the game was, it's kind of nice to have a running back that you can keep fresh throughout the whole game and then throw out there in the fourth quarter. And when that opposing team is tired, they're worn down, and they see this guy out there who is just getting his legs going, and he is not afraid to run at you angry, that's kind of nice. But in this case, do you throw out Estime as a starter? Do you just give him, maybe not the starter, but more touches than you do Williams? I mean, where do you go from here with the last 3 games of the season?
Okay, 2 things. One, I don't know where this "we're not playing Estime" thing is coming from, because he got 1 less carry than Javonte in this last game, so it's not like
a lot
we're
of them
not
came in the
trying
fourth
it.
quarter, but right. I agree.
And it's not like we're not trying to play him. He's just maybe not saying something to practice. But we've seen it all season, even when we were relatively successful on the ground, say Atlanta or Tampa Bay. I don't know if we were successful in Tampa Bay, but when we were successful on the ground, you're playing the hot hand, right? Whoever's getting the more yards is getting the ball. And you saw it. I think Javonte had 2 carries, 1 carry in one game, and Estime had all of them. And then you had the next one where McLaughlin, I think that was the Cleveland game, McLaughlin was getting all the carries before he got hurt. So it's really running the hot hand. I don't think we're not playing Estime. I just think that people are being blind to the fact that he's also not being successeful.
I mean, that's it. None of the hands are hot right now, especially with McLaughlin out. Everybody's and so I don't know, guys. We can't see Bidet. He's still injured, and I think he's probably not going to be back for the rest of the season. So now it's a question of, do you bring up Blake Watson and see what he's got? Because who you've seen so far is just not it. Nobody's showing you really anything that makes you think this is sustainable right now.
I think one of my biggest issues is that we get away from the running game so quickly. I don't know who, it might have been Jared a couple of weeks ago, where you're like, well, why don't we just try, why not run the ball on the first 3 downs and, see if we can get something established. I mean, I just checked. In the first drive for the Broncos, which was 7 plays and an interception, it looks like there was 2 run plays. So 2 run plays out of 5 pass plays. And again, it's another game where Bo ended up with what? He probably had another 30 some odd, pass attempts. And that's
33.
Not 33. That's not it. I mean, the way we started talking this season, we were talking about the stat that rookie quarterbacks that throw over X amount of times tend to lose the football game, right? We just happen to be very lucky in the fact that the defense has also been good. So it's not like we've been throwing because we're behind. But Sean, I'm not sure if he doesn't have faith as like us. We didn't have faith in the running game, so he stops doing it. But we're not going to be successful if we can't run the football in the playoffs.
Yeah, it's just a part of the offense that needs more development overall, and I'm not sure how much. Like, guys, we can talk about switching guys in and guys out and all that, but realistically, there's 3 games left in the regular season. Like, it's not going to be a thing that gets like way better than what we're seeing overnight. It's not going to be the thing that like improves so much that suddenly we get into the playoffs and we're talking about it's a good running team, right? I don't think that's like you've got the team you've got at this point. It's week 15, so we'll see. We'll see how much it changes. I'm skeptical that no matter what they try to do to it at this point, it's going to get like remarkably better in the next few games, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of have to, and it's weird to see that the offense is starting to regress a little bit, and it's kind of I think that's the worrisome part for me. I think we're talking about we're coming in here, we're happy, right? We have 9 wins, 4 more than they told us we were going to have at the beginning of the season, and we're sitting here, we should be happy, but our offense is just has no production. Without Nick Bonito in the last 2 games, we might not win those games, and that's disappointing, right?
Special teams,
you want to see something. Yeah, special teams. I mean, even on special teams, we had that big. It was the fumble recovery. We ended up getting 3 on it. We went 3 and out. So we need to be able to score. We need to be able to drive the ball. Bo Nix. Let's talk about him for a second. I know we've talked a lot about the running backs, but like he took himself out of the offensive rookie of the year for sure. With that game, and was it 3 interceptions or 2? I don't remember. 3 interceptions, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Yeah, and you're negative in the touchdowns, interceptions in the last 2 games, and you just can't do that. And we need to figure out what it is. And yes, I know that somebody mentioned Peyton did take credit for the bad, and we asked this to Mike Kliss when he was on. I asked this specifically. It's not that he's taking credit like, oh, blame the coaches, it's our fault. He's saying I'm responsible for this. It's just a leadership thing. I'm responsible for the actions of my players, and blame me like it's my fault. The 1 interception he definitely did not only have two routes running. There was 5 routes out there on the one on the sideline. So I don't know. He just kind of overthrew it. But what is it that needs to happen to change for Bo to kind of turn it around a little bit?
Experience. He learns. Yeah.
I want to throw something out here in the fact that first there's more tape on Bo now, right? So we know, I think it was Leggy who even said that if you give a defensive coach enough, they can figure something out to stop you anyways. So in this particular game, a team did something different that we hadn't necessarily seen. And that's the fact that they dropped them. They're both their linebackers and almost all of their cover people into a zone. So there was almost no man-to-man whatsoever, and Bo was not reading the zones well. He was not reading the zones well. And it's not like it's the first time he's seen it. I mean, even our own defense runs some zones on a fairly regular basis. That's exactly why the Cleveland Browns were able to eat us up when we played them in that game. Specifically, we played a lot of zone defense on there. So I don't know if you can credit to that as much, but I do think now that teams are paying attention to Bo, we probably want him to have, we're just lucky that we won the game, but we probably want him to have this particular game so he can read the field to see what's going to happen. Because I have a feeling now these teams are going to switch back and forth between a man and a zone coverage. And if you don't have the ability to see it right off the bat, then you're going to really hope that your defense continues to score touchdowns.
I'm not worried about it long term, though. I'm really not, because here's the thing to me. Like Bo specifically overall has been better against the zone defenses than against man defenses this season so far. A lot better. Yeah, I think maybe they showed him some wrinkles that he wasn't expecting in this game. Maybe he just got a little bit confident, maybe overconfident with what his arm can do. Yeah, don't worry about it, Sean. I'm getting in there. I didn't have anything to contribute to that running back argument, and it was popping, so I kind of just let it be. But anyway, so with Bo, I'm just like, all right, yeah, no, and even last week's interceptions, I'm really not going to kill him for. This week he had bad interceptions, like just really bad interceptions. But like we talk about this guy, maybe I think we got a little bit over our skis as far as he has played 14 games in the National Football League. Like, let's calibrate our expectations of what regression is for this young man. Specifically knowing that he has still a lot to work on in the offseason with his footwork, more than anything else. I think that is really more to do with his interceptions in specific than anything else this game. Was his footwork, not hit. And, you know, I think there was also a little bit of the reading defenses in there. All right, Jared, calm it down. Relax. All I'm saying is let's just calibrate our expectations of a guy who's played 14 games. And remember, he's got us 9 wins so far, and he's played tough defenses. He's gone out there and gone toe-to-toe with the Chiefs defense. Like, I'm not completely sold on the idea that we've seen the best of Bo Nix for the rest of the year, and he can't bounce back from a tough couple of weeks.
No, I'm not saying that he can't bounce back. I'm just saying two games in a row where he's the offense in general, and you know, it could be Bo, it could be just the offense in general is just not being productive. There's just no movement, way too many punts, turnovers galore, which is not what we've seen the first half of the season, or the first 7 games, 8, 9, 10 games of the season. So it's weird to kind of see it just kind of fall back a little bit, and whether it be the whole offensive fault or both. But yeah, 2 of those interceptions, if not all 3, were Bo's fault.
I know. Yeah,
and
that's
Sean's gonna take credit. Sean's gonna say like, "Oh, it's my fault for calling the play." Like, nah, man. Like he made a bad read. And on one of them, it was kind of funny. Yeah.
I mean, James didn't get any touchdowns against the Chiefs, so yeah,
he already got benched too.
He got benched. Yeah. Today in Bo Nix's, we pulled up Bo Nix's call too. The other thing that really impressed me, and again, kind of I'm flip-flopping here from going mad to really, excited, is that he said that the one that he threw the linebacker, the interception he threw over the middle of the linebacker, he said he was like, I watched him carry the deep route and then sit. So he's like, this is just something I need to learn. Like, I need to learn the NFL defenses, and that is a veteran that I'm playing against. He knew what I was looking for. He carried it, then sat. I threw the ball. It looked like it went straight to him, but from when I went into my throw, he was carrying the deep route. So he's learning, and he's getting back to the iPad. He's getting back to this film study, and he's looking at it. And he goes, okay, this is what it looks like, and which is good. And for the future of the Denver Broncos, it means that he's a student of the game. He's just going to learn over time. And yeah, I mean, I think without the defense, we don't win those last 2 games, and we need to figure something out on offense, whether it be Bo, whether it be Sean, whatever it is.
But you even see glimpses of it. And Spotty, I'm sorry, I don't mean to, but I'll get right back to you. Like what? But the offense scored 17 points in the fourth quarter in this game, and they scored 27 points against a Browns defense that's still good. The other night, it's not a complete breakdown of the entire system, even when parts of it aren't working well for lots of games. And that's something that's encouraging. We can see execution even in bad games overall. There are moments where we can go out there and still execute. And that's what really gives me kind of this hope that there's still a lot to build on, right?
Here's the other thing, though. We were talking about the offense is not the best part of our team.
Yeah.
Okay. We're a team that goes the way if our defense goes, right? So of course, the one game that our defense shit the bed, that's when we got killed, right? We don't talk about that game this year, but so when our defense picked it up is when our offense picked it up. So in the second half is 100% when the game changed for the Broncos, because I believe even going into halftime we were down 13-6.
13-7.
Oh, okay, 13-7.
So I mean, and after that in the second half, it seemed like the defense was just absolutely all over the place.
Yeah.
So they made the adjustment that they needed to, and then Bo he's like, okay, check it out. The defense is still doing what they needed. I believe we actually came out at the first half, still went 3 now on the first possession, but then everywhere after that we were scoring points.
Yeah. Basically.
Yeah, it's so interesting to see how the defense changed before and after that Jonathan Taylor touchdown fumble play, right? Like, they were just absolutely nails for the rest of the game. And yeah, against the run, against the pass, didn't matter.
Well, and I'll say this, the reason Kansas City does so well and really is the record that they are now and the way they won Super Bowls is the adjustment mid-game. All right, being able to see what's happening in live and seeing what the game plan is and being able to adjust to it so that the second half they have a chance. And I'll be honest, VJ, there's been times where I'm like, what are you doing? And then in the second half, it's like, thank you for doing what you're doing. Whatever it was. And because for whatever reason, the adjustments mid-game, the adjustments at halftime, we're figuring out other teams. So, I mean, it's a much better place to be in than being able to stop them in the first half and then not adjust and then just letting them, run up the score in the second half and then we lose the game.
But can we talk about the fact that we're still doing it with just about nobody? I mean, Pat Surtain, I'm not saying Pat Surtain is a nobody. That is the one thing. Right. But that is one man out of 10. And then a guy named Nick Bonito is quietly second in the league in sacks with 2 touchdowns.
Is it time to put Jared?
Talk about?
Go on. Keep going.
I was like, zero talk about Nick Bonito before the season.
Right.
Zero talk. And now all of a sudden, I mean, obviously it's mostly Broncos country that I follow on Twitter, but now we're talking about defensive player of the year. Like you're second in sacks. You got 2 touchdowns. You're playing lights out. You're winning winning games almost single-handedly for your team. And not for nothing, I will give props to Pat Surtain on that interception for bull rushing the quarterback or the wide receiver that was throwing it backwards, just coming at him with a full head of steam. That dude need to get that ball out. But now you're talking about Nick Bonito being a defensive player of the year after, again, a no name other than Pat Surtain on this defense.
And I want to give a little.
Hey guys, it is time. We've got to take a time out here, guys. Clock has run out. First half is over, and kind of like we were excited that the first half was over of this Colts game, just knowing that the team needed to come together, collect their thoughts, and come back for an even more exciting second half. We got to do the same thing. Tons of comments, tons of questions. Love it, guys. Keep it flowing in, and we'll get to those in the second half. But first, guys, if you want to feel like a champion and feel just like the Broncos do, exactly how they feel after winning a game like that, check out Breckenridge Distillery Championship Blend, Broncos blends. Great stuff, guys. You got the blue bottle, the orange bottle. If you're not a whiskey person, I'm going to say you're weird, but that's okay. All of us are weird in our own way. They got the vodka as well, Broncos vodka from Breckenridge Distillery. So check that out, guys. You'll feel like a champion. Individual results may vary, and make sure you drink safely. Really quickly, Dr. Lane here. Exactly right, guys. We are about to hit 700 subscribers on our YouTube. That has been growing throughout the whole year. Thank you for your support watching us over on YouTube. Our Facebook just hit over 23,000 actually followers. Fantastic stuff there. And the reason I bring that up is not just to brag, but to really highlight you guys, the fans. And that's why we do this, why we're going to keep doing this no matter what. And remember that at the end of the season, this will be, I think, our 4th or 5th year of doing this in a row of the fan appreciation episode. It's going to happen sometime in late January, so watch out. We'll be posting information on when that's going to happen. If you haven't been there before, just us hanging out and giving away a ton of Broncos prizes to you guys who are watching. So make sure you tune in, have a great time, and have a chance to win some Broncos swag. Speaking of winning some Broncos stuff, guys, if you've never seen before, we always go live 1 hour before kickoff for our Tailgate Talk show. And in that show, we always have our score prediction challenge. I've always said, if you guess the score correctly, we are going to send you some awesome Broncos swag. We've only had to do that once over the last 9 years, and I want to give away some more Broncos swag. So we are upping the ante. You're going to have to tune in on Thursday, 1 hour before kickoff. And when we start telling you to post your score predictions, you're going to be entered for a chance to win a Broncos jersey of your choice if you get the score correctly. So I'm not just talking about sending you a hat or sending you a little cup or whatever. If you want a Broncos jersey, and I'll be honest, Spotty, Jared, David, we're not eligible, unfortunately. However, everybody, you got a contract? Who gave you a contract? Okay, that's fair. But guys, you're going to want to be there. This is a chance to win a Broncos jersey, get you ready for the playoffs, and just look good and feel good as the Broncos are making their push. So make sure you're there Thursday night, and we'll give you all the more information when that happens. So Also, halftime hash show. We're live every halftime, and then we'll be doing our post-game podcast probably Friday. We're not going to wait till Monday, but we'll send you information on that. Lastly, guys, don't forget, when the Broncos / if, because it's not official yet, so knock on wood, when / if the Broncos clinch their playoff spot, we will be going live that night. It could be Thursday night. So we're going to try and give you guys as much heads up as possible, but just make sure you're watching your feed, you're following us, you're subscribing to us, so you know that when we go live, when the Broncos clinch the playoff spot, we are going to be there celebrating and having a grand old time with you guys, because we are just as desperate for this stuff to happen as you guys are, and it's going to be freaking fantastic. Yeah, it's great, guys. Thank you for tuning in once again, and let's get back to the second half of this show. Can't remember really what we were talking about, but really, guys, this game came down to momentum swings. Sean said it, missing tackles early, lights out after the momentum swing. You're talking about what the defense did after that that Taylor fumble in the field of play. And man, that was, talk about a back and forth game. My voice is still not completely back. What do you guys think?
Look, I'm ready to give George Payton an apology because I talked a little shit before the start of the season. I know it's hard to believe.
David.
It's hard to believe. I understand.
Tired last year,
but right. Well, but what? Now we've got Nick Bonito showing out. We've got Marvin Mims making huge plays in this game. We've got Riley Moss. We've got Chris Vele. We've got Chris Abrams-Drain stepping up into that number 2 corner spot and essentially locking it down for the entire game. You've got Quinn Miners on his second contract now. You've got Garrett Bowles signing an extension that, frankly, is incredibly team friendly. I'm gonna borrow a phrase that our dear friend Paul didn't want me to use earlier, and give George Payton his flowers, because look, he deserves them. No, he deserves it. He deserves a little bit of credit. Nick Bonito, last pick of the second round, defensive player of the year conversation now. And going into this Chargers game, guys, where the Chargers don't have, I can't remember if it's a starting guard or a starting tackle that missed practice so far this week, but having that matchup up front could be really, really key going into this game.
No J.K. Dobbins for them as well, obviously. Mm-hmm. They've been without J.K. Dobbins for the last couple of weeks, but that's severely impacted their team.
Yeah,
and then you take on top of that their wide receiver core is nothing you're like, oh my gosh, this is not like that. Outside of Ladd McConkey, who is more a possession guy instead of kill you on every play, every down the field. He's more about, hey, we need a first down, so let's get the ball over to him. There's just not a lot about the Chargers offense that blows my mind, or that I think that the Broncos don't have the ability to stop. Now I say that now, knowing that we've been gashed a little bit from the run game in the first half of each of the last couple of games. But if we could put a kibosh to that, and Abrams-Drain can continue to play at his level, you said Abrams-Drain, but Damari Mathis also, I think, was switching back and forth in this game to help out with that. If we can continue that, it might end up being a low-scoring game on Thursdays.
Oh, yeah.
Division rivals. That's always how it's going to end up being. But I do believe and wholeheartedly that we'll be having that live on Thursday after the Broncos clinch.
I love that. And you're correct, Spotty. I think we're going to see another Al Michaels pissed off game, because we're looking at 18-16 or something as the final score.
Yeah.
Hey, while we're talking about it really quickly, Spotty, we didn't do this last week since you were gone, but now that you're back, yeah, we know the Broncos need to win just one more, but are there any other teams we're watching for, especially when it comes to potential seeding? Any other games? Because that's going to come into play here.
Well, I'm glad that you asked me that, because I just saw all of the Broncos clinching possibilities, and it's a lot of the same. If you think that the Broncos need to cheer for anybody who's playing the Dolphins and anybody who's playing against the Bengals.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's simple.
I think they can, even if they lose this week, I think if the Bengals and Dolphins both lose this week, they're still in, I believe.
Yeah.
We
And-
clinch with either of those teams losing this week. Or they all have to.
Both.
They all have
they
to.
both
They
have
all
to.
do,
Yeah.
yeah. And I think Colts are still in the hunt technically too, but I think that's more for the San Diego. Jesus, look at me. I can't get it out. I can't stop.
If
Never
only
fail.
it was
Chargers.
if they were still in San Diego, you would be getting the game on local channels this week.
I
but-
would be. I might actually get the game on local
You
channels
might.
just because I am a little close. I was thinking about going to the game. I'm not. I'm a little upset at myself. But Colts, Dolphins, and Bengals are still in it. But now we are officially in the 6th seed, which we've talked about being awesome for us because 7th seed looks like you're playing the Bills. 6th seed looks like you're playing the Steelers again. And I want nothing more than to get a rematch against the Steelers where Russell Wilson is actually playing. I just want that. So I want that with every bone in my body. So let's get that 6th seed. Let's beat the Chargers this week. We get this. We kind of settle in on the 6th seed if we beat the Chargers this week. And then we just go forward. And then obviously the Ravens are in 5th seed. There's always a chance we move up. 4th seed is, obviously the rest of them are taken by the division champs. But there's a chance we're 5th or 6th seed depending on how the rest of the season goes. But it's all we're all in the driver's seat. We just need to win. Like we win a couple games, and we win one game, we're in the playoffs. We win a couple games, we're possibly 5th seed. So it's just again cool place to be.
Real quick, and Spotty, you had something I know, so I'm going to toss it right over to you. Riley Moss is not ruled out. He was limited in practice today. I still don't think he plays, especially with how Chris Abrams drained in and Damari Mathis looked. I think they're probably comfortable enough to let him heal all the way up and get back for Cincinnati. But yeah, I doubt he plays. Pat Surtain, a full participant again though today. So yeah, I think we dodged a real bullet there, Spotty.
I mean, I don't know how we could have got lucky enough because I think just like everybody else out there, we were looking at Pat Surtain limp off the field, and my heart was in my shoe. For sure.
Yeah.
But hey, look, he's fine. I also saw that DJ Jones was limited today. The guy lost the end of his finger in that game, which was kind of pretty brutal. But considering that we know that the Chargers are going to run the football, like that's what they want to do. The Chargers want to run the football. Passing is not what their forte, because even with Greg Roman is their offensive coordinator right now. And if anybody knows anything about Greg Roman, he was the offensive coordinator for the Ravens the last couple years that they led the league in rushing. So we might have gotten away, I'm going to knock on wood here, guys, with having a fairly healthy team going in on Thursday. Now, to the Riley Moss comment, I am fine with Riley Moss not playing on Thursday. If there's let's say in a crazy world that we lose on Thursday, there's a team that I want the Broncos to have a full slate of DBs against. It's definitely the Bengals.
Yeah.
And that's going to be, I mean, you're looking at the next 3 games being just full of so much news, so much content, things to talk about, lots of good things, hopefully, but yeah, I think people are saying the Broncos have one of the hardest remaining schedules in the league. And I'm like, do we? As Jared would say, do we? Really? Yeah. I mean, they're all winnable. They're all so winnable. And what we've seen from this time, from this team time and time again, is that when they have an opportunity to win, at the very least, they're going to go out there and fight tooth and nail to the very end. The grit is real with this team. And, that's just something that doesn't just appear and reappear. Like that is embedded into this team's culture now. And it's beautiful to see.
Is it weird that we're talking about this right now instead of like, hey, Kevin, when is the draft?
Yeah.
What are we doing the draft? Oh.
Me and David on the tailgate talk, we started talking about that. We were like, well, depending on where we fall, I was like, wait, we don't have to talk about that right now.
That's a later problem. There's lots of later
normally
problem.
at this point we're like at the 45-minute mark, like, okay, is there something else we can talk about that's not another Broncos loss? And it's just so cool. It's so nice to be here.
Yeah.
That's so great, about this game. So what is the biggest worry on this team? I mean, Justin Herbert, they just got destroyed by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, like just absolutely dismantled by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on Sunday. Justin Herbert goes out with an ankle injury at the game. I think he's still going to play. Their defense, Joey Bosa, is not playing the way that he's normally playing. Now he's always a threat, right? He is still Joey Bosa. Like there's always things he can do. What's the biggest threat in this game other than ourselves with the injuries that we have?
That we can't run the freaking football.
Yeah. Okay. Well, again, ourselves.
That's ourselves.
I'm just saying the big reason that Tampa ended up beating them is that they ran for 223 yards.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow is right. And which opened up a lot because I don't know if you guys saw also Mike Evans went 9 for 159 or 157, which of course is ridiculous numbers. And we have the ability to have a wide receiver, Cortland Sutton, which I wanted. There was another comment. Somebody was asking if we could re-sign Cortland Sutton for 2026. And the answer is probably resounding yes.
Yeah.
At this point, Cortland is Bo's safety blanket.
Yeah.
But we definitely need to be adding other pieces, a la probably an actual tight end and a wide receiver in the meantime. But if that comes to it, which we still have another year to think about it, we should definitely be re-signing him. I could see this being another game that Cortland has a big game on Thursday. This could be another Cortland game where he's 8 for 75 and a touchdown.
I'd love it. I think we win if he is. Because honestly, I think that was as big a part of it as anything. With the Colts and the problems with this Broncos offense on Sunday, I feel like the Colts were scheming it to take Cortland Sutton away. I think they were clouding coverage to his side of the field. They play zone coverage so often anyway. I think they were trying to cheat somebody to that side, to Cortland's side of the field, and say, beat us with somebody else. And they couldn't do it. Credit to them, because the Broncos offense couldn't do it. I think that is good for Bo in that I think he needs to build chemistry with other players on this offense for sure. And boy, he's trying with Franklin. Man, he's trying with Franklin. And it is like they are both trying to adjust to the pro game, and they are both in different places in their adjustment to the pro game. And I feel like you're seeing that play out on the field in real time. He's getting there with Vele, but it's not to that point that it is with Sutton, right? And so I think if you see Sutton have that kind of success against this Chargers team, I think it means the Broncos had a good day on offense.
Once you see those two start to connecting, Franklin and Bo, man, that is going to be a dangerous combination, especially with Cortland Sutton out there. I mean, that is – and Devon Vele keeps coming along. Now, I was surprised Devon was only targeted once this last game. That surprises me, but I kind of have questions to how we've utilized him all year. But I'm not the coach. I don't know what's going on in those conversations. Maybe he was, something was going on. But that's another guy that once these guys really get those connections solid, I mean, you're talking about give them this offseason, see what they do coming back this next year. It's not their first year, and it's not for Vele, but for Franklin and Bo, it's not their first year in the league, and they understand a whole lot more. They connect on some of these deep passes, man. The games that we've won would be even bigger wins than what we've seen. It's beautiful. It's kind of fun to watch it play out. But I am ready for them to start connecting a little bit more.
Maybe Peyton is playing chess while everybody else is playing checkers.
You know what? I'm fine with that.
He certainly wants you to think so.
Yeah, I mean, he thinks he's a genius. He definitely thinks he's a genius, because we also didn't see the Marvin Mims-esque Joker plays in this game. And that was something that was a part. You think it was one play?
I think we had one play that he had a run, and he was playing the Joker role.
But I think he got stuffed. Yeah.
He got stuffed immediately.
It was maybe it wasn't memorable. Okay. So maybe him knowing that the Broncos are on a short week against a division rival, he's saving all the good stuff from Thursday. And anybody knows, if he's watching the show, knows that Spotty's not someone who's going to give Sean Payton
I know.
I'm really hoping that it's just maybe he's just saving the bag a little bit, considering that playbook of his is an freaking cheese cupcake factory menu. Hey, there should be something in there drawn up for Vele. There should be more plays for Mims. We know this offense is more explosive when they're involved.
Yeah, so I'm going to take that part that you said that Sean Payton is a genius and just play it on loop for a couple times.
Do it.
For,
No, flip it.
I'll make a clip out of that tomorrow. That'll be tomorrow's video. It's just Spotty. You won't believe what Spotty says. Sean Payton is a genius. That's it. That's the video.
AI guys, don't believe it.
Right. Back to
Look,
you,
guys.
back to your question, Kev. It's stopping the Ladd McConkey connection. And look, I think it's another one of those cases where we talked about there's more film on Bo Nix out now, right? And I also think there's more film out on the Chargers offense since the last time we played them. And man, it really is that receiving core is just it's Ladd McConkey and not, like you get a Josh Palmer play and a Quentin Johnson play once or twice.
Drop. So
right, yeah, and then a Quentin Johnson drop, yeah, once or twice per game, and then that's it. Their whole offense goes through Ladd, and especially now that they don't have that run game to lean on. Like, I don't know if because he's another one of those guys that lines up in the slot a ton, right? So I don't know if it's a situation where you try and have Pat Surtain just on him, erasing him for the game, or what you do there. But to me, that's how you shut down the Justin Herbert of it all. That's how you make him hold the ball for an extra second and think about it. And while he's thinking about it, your pass rush is getting there.
Yeah. Well, I think Herbert just he had threw an interception last week. And what was it? 357 straight pass attempts or something. Yeah. And now, like, that's great. But you're also looking at a team, the Denver team coming to town that just picked off the Colts had 5 turnovers, right? So you gotta probably be thinking, like, I want to make sure that I'm a little extra careful. And maybe that extra half a second is just, what we need to get the pass rush to him. And we talk about all this other film that, teams have on us and we have on them, but this team and Bo Nix are learning and they're adapting quicker than I think people are able to study and come up with ideas. Now this whole offseason will be a different conversation, but I don't foresee the Broncos offense in terms of like Bo Nix's performance to have a repeat of last week. I really don't.
Yeah. David, and just to speak about your Ladd comment, I just was looking at the Colts Broncos matchup, and Josh Downs was 3 catches for 32 yards in this game. And if there was a comparable player, I'm not saying they're the exact same, but comparable, Josh Downs and Ladd McConkey might be pretty damn similar when it comes to players.
Yeah. And in terms of importance to their offenses, like Josh Downs is so important to that Colts offense.
And I would say that 3 for 32 was probably all in the first half. I didn't seem so that's a McMillan kind of thing. You didn't hear his name, so you're like out of sight, out of mind when it comes to a cornerback is just like an offensive lineman, right? If it's out of sight and if you're not hearing about him, that means they're doing a fantastic job. So I actually trust McMillan to be someone who can match up against Ladd most of the time. I mean, the guy has shown currently that his route running is already pristine as being a rookie, but Broncos can give him fits. And again, if we can get some pressure, that offensive line, when it's healthy, might be one of the better in the NFL. So we really need our Zach Allens and our DJ Jones and our Nick Benitos and Jonathan Cooper and Jonah Ellis to pin their ears back and at least get some pressure, or at least put a hand in the face, make sure we get to him.
Yeah, what you're noticing about Justin Herbert lately is that he's getting spooked a little bit sooner than he used to, which is weird. And I don't know if it's an injury issue or what, but his comfort level, his bubble is a little bit smaller than it used to be. So if we can get some pressure on him and make him uncomfortable, he's going to make some interesting plays or throw it into the ground or, throw it away, whatever the case is. He was sacked 4 times this game against Tampa Bay. And one of them he ended up getting hurt. So, that might play into it on a short week. It'd be interesting to see how that plays. If we can get the pressure to him, if we can get Nick Bonito and Jonathan Cooper back there, then I think that's the way to go.
We haven't said his name enough on tonight's show, I think. Jonathan Cooper. I mean, we focus a lot on Bonito, and rightfully so, but Jonathan Cooper is just as much a beast.
And another feather in George Payton's cap, right? This 7th round pick from Ohio State who comes in, and look, maybe he is not the kind of guy who's going to get the flashy 12 sacks every single year, but man, he feels like he affects every drive. It feels like he's doing something that helps somebody else make a play if he's not making the play himself. And I think it's so important that you bring him up, Kevin. I love that call.
I think he's a leader on the team too.
Yeah.
They're interviewing him after all the games. He's usually either him or Pat Surtain is running back, celebrating with the defense, celebrating with Nick Benito. Him and Nick Benito walk out together all the time. So Jonathan Cooper, hey, shout out to him, man, leader of the team.
Yeah.
Speaking of leaders, Mitchell Fabroni, long snapper for the team. I know Sean. I'm surprised that we haven't seen him pop that in, but I figured that was something he was typing up right now. So another big leader.
Get in before Sean gets it in.
You didn't see that coming. Guys, man, we're getting close to needing to wrap this up. This conversation is going to have to continue on the pregame podcast. So you guys are going to want to make sure to see when that drops. Follow us on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher. I'll do a better job of actually posting it out a lot more frequently as well, so you guys can see it on our social media. But I guess you guys are going to come out with that for tomorrow, I'm guessing?
I mean, Jared,
we'll figure that out.
I don't know when. Yeah,
we'll talk about it.
We'll figure that out.
Yeah, we record it at latest tomorrow. That's what's going to happen.
Okay.
Yeah, we record it latest.
It's going to be a great show, guys. Make sure you tune in, and they're going to go into a lot more depth with all these players' key matchups. And here's my puffball comment. I love it.
Shame on you. We cannot ignore the super fan that Sean is because
I didn't see it.
Just because he makes a puffball
Don't worry,
comment.
I'll find it. You keep talking.
I see it.
Okay.
Go on. Mm-hmm.
Well, guys, once again, before we do some closing comments, first off, everybody who's been tuning in, thank you so much. Tell your friends and family about us. If they're Broncos fans, let them know. If they're not Broncos fans, they're still welcome to come in and post their comments. I mean, we might make fun of them just a little bit, but they're still more than welcome. We do have one more home game this year against the Chiefs in early January. So if you're going out to that, make sure you come tailgate with us. The back of Lot C, look for all the flags flying at the Flagman tailgate. Even if you're not going to the game, you just want to come down for a few hours and get in the mood and hang out with a bunch of Broncos fans before you go watch the game. You're more than welcome there as well. So last call for Breckenridge.
I am going to jump in real quick before we go into the Breckenridge Bourbon. So if you're going to the game on Thursday, reach out to us. The San Diego Bronco fans they have a bunch of spots organized at SoFi Stadium. A bunch of people are going to be out there, a bunch of great guys and girls getting ready to cheer on our Broncos. There's going to be a lot of orange in that stadium between San Diego Bronco fans, LA Bronco fans. So go out and celebrate and enjoy the game with some other Bronco fans. Hit us up if you need to know where. I think it's Lot C, but I'll give it to you. Slide into our DMs and I'll let you know where that's at if you guys are going to the game in LA on Thursday.
I saw Des was doing that, and Des seems like a fun person to watch a game with.
Yeah.
Big shout out to Broncos for Dummies, making sure if you guys need another podcast, another fun video content creator to follow. Des from Broncos for Dummies, another great one. She's hilarious and makes some really good stuff very consistently. So make sure you check her out. Last call here at Bourbon Broncos No B.S. So make sure you grab a bottle and grab a drink of Breckenridge Distillery Championship Blend. Broncos blend, either their whiskey or their vodka, and enjoy that at your leisure. Also, again, Thursday night, I'm going to say it one more time. Pre-game tailgate talk live with the score prediction jersey giveaway. All you have to do, we're not asking for money. We're not asking for essays or anything like that. All you have to do is go in there and put in your score prediction. If you are correct, and I have to say this too, you have to guess the Broncos to win. Okay, I'm not going to reward you for guessing the Chargers to win and then they win. You have to guess the Broncos to win and guess the score correctly. And if you do those two things, then you get a jersey.
No, Jared, I get it. You're upset about this. I'm 100% with it. No, we don't reward people for picking the Broncos to lose.
I don't think anybody would at this point in the season where we are and how the Broncos are doing. But yeah, no, I'm there for it. I'm more upset that I can't win. That's really what.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, maybe if you could honor, just do the name. All I know is this name called this Dan Kev guy, Devin Candino. He keeps messaging me wanting to enter, so he might get an entry. I don't know, but we'll see. Guys, again, closing thoughts coming up here, but thank you for tuning in. Thank you for supporting us. Watch for more information on the Fan Appreciation Show in late January, and keep an eye out for when we're going to go live to celebrate the Broncos making the playoffs if/when they do, because it's not official yet, but it could be Thursday night. With that, closing thoughts. I don't know. Let's start with David. How you doing, bud?
Oh, well, unprepared to give my closing thoughts, Kev Dan, if we're being 100% honest with each other. But that's really nobody's fault but my own. I'm going to throw this one back to the fans. And, man, I love that you guys keep tuning in week after week to watch us talk our nonsense, to argue Team Puffball versus Team Visor, to say that we need a squeaker for the Puffball, which, frankly, Gary, I couldn't agree more, and I think we're going to make something happen for you this offseason. But man, it's such an interesting position to be in this, like talking about playoffs for the first time over the course of Orange Weekly, and to have you guys just be along year in and year out at every single week when we were just in futility, right? In no man's land, it seemed like every single year, and now to be somewhere. Oh man, it's just super rewarding, and we love you guys so much. And Sean, man, I almost hope that you.
We gotta get we.
I hope we gotta get this man a Mitchell Faboni. Yeah,
I think we need to.
At the very least, we gotta
get Mitch Faboni on the show.
At the very least, we gotta get Sean a Mitch Faboni jersey. Like somehow, I don't care what we have to rig to make this happen. But it's got.
We'll talk about potential rigging off the air. That's
okay. Right. It's fair enough.
We won't rig it for everyone else.
We probably won't rig it. I mean,
probably
right.
This is great, guys.
Those are my final thoughts.
I love it. Thank you, David. Oh, to the other David, Spotty David. What's up, bud?
Leave it to David to be so abstract, and like every time he starts talking, you're like, brace yourself. You might say a word I don't understand, but you're like, this is going to be so philosophical. But I appreciate my David counterpart.
Always.
I can't say again about how excited I am to watch this Broncos team. Okay, so I just watch it because I'm a fan, and you know it's my drug to watch the Broncos. But now it actually keeps me up instead of bringing me down all the time. So it's so great to be able to see these players like this, like Nick Benito, and talk about rookies like Abrams Drain all of a sudden that are stepping up in a big way for this team. And now we're down to the home stretch. We need to see more of those players to step up, whether it be Javonte or Audric Estime. It doesn't matter who the hot hand is, right? We need each and every one of these players to step up and to bring something to this team, because we need one win. We've seen it before that every year there's a team that you're like, man, they're going to make the playoffs, and then somehow they fumble the bag. I had to throw fumble in again, and they missed the playoff. Okay, so I am excited to see who the player who's going to step up on Thursday is. I kind of hope it's Abrams Drain. I kind of hope to see that he might get himself a couple of pass breakups or even an interception. So if that's the spotty thing that you're going to see, I'm looking forward to see these young guys bring us to the playoffs Thursday night.
There we go, guys. Get ready for it. Jared.
There it is. So I feel like I've been very negative and abrasive on this show today, specifically when we're talking about running backs. I get really defensive over Javonte and the running back room. I'm not going to lie. But I will say, like, look, we are 9-5, and the culture is right. We were supposed to be a team this year that was in a rebuilding phase. We were supposed to be the Las Vegas Raiders record. We were supposed to be the team that didn't have it together. We're still learning. We were coming together, but we did it right. David said it. I don't know if it was on the pregame podcast or the tailgate talk, but he said it very well, and I hate giving credit to David. You guys all know this. But we did it right. We got the ownership group. We have our head coach. And then we get our quarterback. And they all fell in line, and now we have a team and a culture of people that believe in each other. And they're all talking the same numbers. They're all talking the same thing when you're talking to them with the media days. And it's just so cool to see, and that they're all playing for each other. And it's just like Spotty was saying, it's nice to be here. It's nice to be like in a happy place. We only need one win the next 3 games. But like Bo Nick said, this is how I'm going to end it. It's not one game in the next 3 to clinch the playoffs. It's 3 games. We're going to win the next 3 games, and then we're going to win the Super Bowl. Let's go.
Let's go. Look, guys, one game at a time, but I love that mentality from the team. There's no question about it. They know what they're they know what they're capable of, without a question, without a doubt. I don't think there's like any false ideas of like we're the best team out there. They know what they need to work on, but they know that they got each other's backs. They know that they got a head coach that they respect and that has their back as well. That has no problem standing in front of the press saying, yeah, I could have done better myself. I think he was saying something along the lines of some of the, interceptions. He could have called those plays better, right? So these guys see that. They know that Sean Payton's going to call them out on their shit when they deserve it, but he has their back and they're there for each other. And when you have a team that is that, just willing to go to bat for each other, you're talking about guys in the trenches and just fighting for each other. You're not out of any game. At some point you are, but if you're with, 10 points, 13 points, whatever, you're still in that game. And those guys are going to fight until the very end. So when we make it in the playoffs, we'll talk about what that game looks like based off of the seeding and everything. But, I know there are going to be people that will be out there that are going to say, oh, the Broncos, they shouldn't even really be here. This one, they weren't expected to be here. They're just going to lose right away. They're the away team, blah, blah, blah. Just keep counting us out. Just keep, underappreciating what this team does, because we see it week in and week out, and we hear what these guys are saying in the press conferences, and we see how they treat each other on the sidelines and how excited they are for each other when things go well. And when this, they're tasting the success early. And I said it earlier this season, I'll say it again. A team that's in a rebuild that makes the playoffs is still in a rebuild. And that's an amazing position for us to be in. These guys are getting this experience. Not just the experience of playing meaningful football late in December, playing a playoff game, but they're feeling that desire of like, man, we were so close. And if we just go a little bit further, if we just push a little harder, right, we can get there. And when they see that young, man, this is a team that can go so far over the next several years. And as they continue to grow and build, we keep drafting the way we draft. Again, this is a team that is very quickly going to turn into a destination spot for free agents. They're going to take friendlier deals. They're going to want to come to Denver because they're going to, they want to win a championship. And this is a great place to live. It's a great place to play football in. The fans are fantastic. I will say, I think we're going to do a little stadium etiquette show before the season next year. Things like don't do the wave when the offense is on the field. Don't start chanting "Go Broncos" when the offense is on the field, especially when you're losing, things like that. But look, guys, Broncos fans are showing out, Yeah, exactly. And we were talking about that last night too. And yeah, get quiet when the offense is out there. And I mean, you saw it when Peyton goes out there and he just has to do this, and the stadium got quiet. And when the fans that are going to the games are just watching Bo Nix and they have that respect for him and they know that when he does this, they need to shut their mouths. It's just going to make it so much better than it already is. So the sky is looking clear and beautiful up ahead. We can put these past 8 years behind us as a nightmare and get talking to some really exciting football. So guys, I think it's time. It's been a great show. It's been a great audience as always, but I have nothing left to say other than to end this as we always do on a very strong Go Broncos!
Go Broncos!
Take care, guys. See you Thursday.
Do what I like, yeah, I do what I like, yeah, I do what I like. Sip and go, sip is right, and I go with the flow, yeah, I go with the flow, yeah, I go with the flow, cause I know I'm the show. In the zone, here I go, in the zone, here I go, in the zone, here I go, yeah, they know I'm a pro.